Hello everyone, and welcome to hauck here in our showroom in Sonnefeld. My name is Daniel Höfner. I'm the product manager responsible for the home category, and from the wide range of great products we have here in the showroom, today I've brought along a product that's especially close to my heart, which I'd like us to take a closer look at together. But we won't be doing this alone. I've invited some great support to join me. Someone who knows exactly how children learn and also understands why participation is so important. Jan David, it's great to have you here.
Yes, thank you very much. I'm also happy to be here. My name is Jan David Freund, and I am a promoter, developmental psychologist, and I focus on how children learn. And especially in the first years of life, so much of that happens in everyday life at home. And that's why I'm especially pleased that today we're focusing on such a wonderful everyday helper, which can really support family life.
Perfect. Then I'll go ahead and show you the advantages of our Learning Explorer. I'll start right at the beginning with the assembly, so to speak. The chair, of course, comes complete with tools and all the necessary mounting materials. You can see from the screw holes here, it's super easy to assemble, so your first sense of achievement actually comes even before you start using it. But what's even better is that if I want to adjust the steps, meaning the footrest or the standing platform, I don't need to take apart the entire chair. I can simply use the two screws on the side to freely choose my position. And that ultimately allows the child to use the product from a very young age, as soon as they can stand. And that means they're always right in the middle of family life, which also strengthens the sense of belonging and so on. Beyond that, the Learning Tower is, of course, very stable, robustly designed, and can support a maximum weight of 40 kilos, which basically means that even older children are happy to use it again and again. For example, my oldest son, who is 7 now, still likes to carry it into the workshop to see what his dad is up to. And last but not least, as we have here, the chair is also FSC certified. That means it comes from sustainable forestry. To put it simply, our children also want to enjoy our planet in the future. And that's why we generally place a lot of value on this. Not just with this product, but of course with our other products as well. And last but not least, there's one more thing I'd like to show you. The Learning Tower is equipped with plastic gliders. That means I can easily move it from A to B in my apartment. It's universally usable, whether in the kitchen or the bathroom. And if we think in terms of the Montessori principle, I think that's also a really important characteristic of the product, that it's so versatile in its use.
Yes, that's a great point, and you're absolutely right about that. Children at that age naturally want to do as much as possible by themselves, and whether they can do it depends on whether they're able to. And of course, parents can lift their children up, and then they can do things themselves too. But how practical is that in everyday life, and how often do you really want to lift your children up? Of course, it's great if they have a way to do things on their own, independently and whenever they want. And as you already mentioned, whether it's the bathroom or the kitchen, anywhere things happen but at a higher level, children can only participate if they can actually reach up there. And as you already mentioned, that the fact that it has these different levels is fantastic because children want to be involved from a very young age. So many exciting things happen in everyday family life, and the more the children can do on their own, the better it is for them. And that's exactly the Montessori principle. Help me to do it myself. Children want to be active themselves, and for that they need something that allows them to stand safely and securely. Not least so that parents can also feel comfortable when their child is involved, not standing on a wobbly stool, but on something stable, which allows the parents to step a meter away without worry. This simply leads to children having more opportunities to be involved and to observe things. And I think especially, and in everyday family life, we shouldn't underestimate how many things actually happen there. Children are naturally curious at that age and want to know what their parents are actually doing. So what's happening over there in the kitchen while I'm in the living room, children can't stand not knowing. They don't say, I'll wait until later. They go straight into the kitchen to see what's happening. And it's not just about looking up to the adults, but really about what the parents are doing there. And that basically brings children to eye level with the adults. And besides all the everyday skills, we also shouldn't underestimate how much actual science happens right there in the kitchen. So children don't just learn how to do things in general. For example, how to prepare food. Food doesn't just appear served on a plate. It comes from the fridge, it comes from the supermarket. And then even then, things aren't finished yet. So just seeing the difference between a melon as it is in the supermarket and what ends up on the plate. And that step in between already gives you a sense of how the world actually works, all the way to things like when you mix funny things like water and flour together for a long time, something really amazing happens. So a lot of things happen in the kitchen that children can rediscover later on. So it's really important that children can simply be there and experience all the exciting things happening and not be left out. And for that, something like this is simply worth its weight in gold.
We're glad to hear that. But it's not just a relief for the children. And it doesn't just help the children learn, but at least from my own experience, I can say it also helps me and my wife immensely in our daily lives. Because there are simply certain things we no longer have to worry about, since the children can experience them independently.
Of course, that also increases the opportunities the children have, because every time you feel comfortable with it and everything is fine, it raises the likelihood that in the next situation you'll say, yes, you can join in, instead of, right now it's too uncertain for me.
Absolutely. You already put it quite well earlier. For example, in the kitchen, a woman is cutting salad. The child wants to watch but can't, so mom picks them up, but then she only has one hand left to cut with, so it doesn't really work. And that's exactly where nowadays in our family, my children push it around themselves and decide where they want to be involved. As I mentioned earlier, my eldest also likes to visit me in the workshop with it. So for us, it's simply impossible to imagine everyday family life without it anymore.
Yes, I can absolutely imagine that. And because it grows with them, you really have a practical companion for many years. And children don't stop being curious as they get older. It's just that their interests change. Then they're allowed to cut things themselves or help out, and they can wash the ingredients. And in those moments, they can really experience their own sense of agency. So I contributed to making dinner. I actually played a part in it myself. That really motivates the children, because these are the things that play a big role in their everyday environment, in their own little world. So how do these things actually come about? I want to be able to put something on the conveyor belt at the supermarket myself, or take something off, and that's so motivating for children. They do that so often, and it also needs to have its place at home, and for that you need this kind of support.
But there's one more thing I'd like to show you, Jan David. If you look down here, you'll see we've added special support feet. Of course, we didn't just add them for no reason. They serve a purpose. You have to imagine when your child uses the learning tower, they're interested in a lot of things. And sometimes they're interested in something other than the actual reason they're standing at the learning table. That means sometimes they reach out or lean over the learning tower. And with some products, there's a certain risk of tipping over, which we've of course tried to avoid. I think you can see that quite well here.
Exactly. And that's really the perfect thing, and actually the perfect encouragement for everyone. When you have a product like this, you can let children do as much as possible and help out as much as possible in everyday life. And that would actually be my recommendation as well. Just let children do as much as possible on their own, because that's exactly when they learn so incredibly much. And if you can also feel really good about it and don't have to worry, then you can do it with twice the peace of mind.
Great. Jan David, thank you so much for being here. I think you explained wonderfully why it's so important for children to participate, help out, and learn along the way. And if you want more information about the product or about child development in general, feel free to check out our website.